Caught in the battle for Sorority of the Year, a university student and a mentally challenged young man meet. As the lady develops romantic feelings toward him, she becomes torn between her heart and society's standards. Pumpkin, a mentally challenged young man, is given a pep talk by his mom. Despite being unable to answer if he's ready, he finds his wheelchair pushed somewhere after being given a discus. Shortly after, a young woman named Carolyn arrived at her sorority house and was warmly welcomed by her sisters, Courtney and Anne. The Alpha Omega Pi sorority president, Julie, declared they'd beat Tri Omegas for the sorority of the year. Carolyn expressed her doubts as they stared at their seemingly perfect competitors across the street, who had held the title for 22 years. Julie explained how she prepared for everything, especially regarding the charity, the challenged games, which means they'll train challenged individuals. This convinced Carolyn, and she went to her room. She called her mom, Chippy, to inform her she'd arrived safely, and Mr. McDuffie, her dad, left for her golf game after knowing she was fine. Kent, Carolyn's boyfriend, cut off the conversation, and the lovers embraced each other. Afterward, the AO Pi sorority began their Hawaiian-themed welcome party to attract new members. Carolyn danced while Julie kept signaling them to do better. Julie enthusiastically welcomed the prospects and thanked Carolyn for doing her best. As the young ladies enjoyed their snacks, the elite sorority members scanned them to choose the best, including Merle, a clever daughter of a CEO, and some women of diversity, Laquata and Fidelia, which the Greek Council judges are delighted to have. Janine, a roommate and sister, urged Carolyn to tell Julie what they had discussed. Therefore, she explained that bringing challenged individuals on campus may be overboard, since they are very different. The sisters expressed their disappointment with their stereotyping, so Julie reminded them to reflect on their behavior. In the cafeteria, Janine convinced Caroline that Julie didn't care about the challenged individuals. However, their conversation was interrupted by the Tri Omega's lead members. The competitors mocked AO Pi's strategy to defeat them, especially involving the challenged people. Cece, a student rejected by sororities, greeted Carolyn and relayed her terrible summer. But the famous lady told her that her situation was not so bad since she was free. The day of the charity event finally arrives, and Mr. Halford, a professor, hands them the picture of the challenged person assigned to them with a brief description of their condition at the back. Janine receives a file of Casey, while Carolyn obtains Pumpkin. She protests upon calling someone Pumpkin, but the professor tells her to confirm it with her partner. The buses of the challenged athletes arrive, and Julie reminds her group to smile and be pleasant. The guests carry pictures of their trainer, and as they approach the women, Janine freaks out, apologizing to the shocked Casey before running away. Pumpkin approaches Carolyn, but after mumbling a greeting, he's mesmerized by her beauty while the woman feels awkward. The athletic practice begins, and Carolyn struggles to help Pumpkin since he can't hold his discus properly. The woman asks if he can stand and talk, so Pumpkin grabs her hand, and the frustrated Carolyn emotionally asks what he wants to say. As the young lady calls for help, the young man stands wobbly and smiles before throwing the discus. The frantic Carolyn remains confused as the man weakly falls to the ground with her. He tries to call her name, but the woman suddenly screams once he succeeds. That evening, Carolyn contemplates the event, feeling mixed emotions, but as she sits on her bed while looking at Pumpkin's file, Kent surprises her from behind. The boyfriend sees the photo and expresses genuine thoughts about the challenged individual's unique circumstances. Carolyn admits she can't stand Pumpkin staring at her despite his efforts to tell her something. As she explains how horrible she feels, Kent comments that she's not exposed to different types of people. The woman becomes more offended and leaves her boyfriend behind. Since then, Carolyn has become more distracted in every sorority activity, and Julie reminds her that she's an integral part of attracting new members. A poetry professor, Mr. Miri, introduces himself to the class. He firmly states the goal to create an original poem, but Carolyn interjects as she's only in class for credits. Mr. Miri declares that she'll get it if she accomplishes the goal. Cece asks the professor what to write if her entire life is ugly, but the wise man tells her that no poetry can be ugly because the horrors of one's life can be conveyed brilliantly. Upon hearing this, the perplexed Carolyn questions the essence of looking at something ugly and bad instead of focusing on the beautiful and perfect. At the Romanoff residence, Judy, Pumpkin's mom, and their helper, Ramona, watch the young man astonishingly as he practices throwing the discus. The mother affectionately fixes his appearance, and Ramona hurriedly informs Judy that Claudia, the opposing team's leader for the athletic competition, and her challenged son Hansi have arrived. Judy politely entertains her uninvited guest while Hansi wrestles Pumpkin. Claudia criticizes training their athletes in the university, pointing out that they want to beat her. Judy argues it's a fundraiser focused on their kids, not them. Claudia and Hansi mock Pumpkin's attempt to throw the discus, but Judy remains hopeful and curious. However, the competitors are shocked as Pumpkin throws it far and mumbles that it's for Carolyn. In the sorority house, Carolyn tells Janine that she's quitting the challenged games. Her sister commends her for doing this, highlighting that those individuals aren't supposed to be with normal ones. However, Carolyn stares at Pumpkin's picture and says how she's seen his hurt expression, intriguing her more, but Janine annoyedly tells her to stop her blabbering. The following day, Carolyn marches toward Pumpkin to inform him of her decision, but the young man tells her that she's his friend and her heart is beautiful, which changes Carolyn's mind. Since then, the two regularly meet, which pushes them to practice, eat, and have fun together. Time passes, and Carolyn realizes how friendly Pumpkin is. One day, Carolyn shares her concerns with her mom, and Chippy responds that marrying someone of diversity is problematic. Her daughter defends herself, pointing out it isn't romantic. Still, the mother reassures her by saying there'll be another lady for the man her daughter is talking about. On the other hand, Judy speaks with Betsy, a board member of the challenged games, while her son plays in the jungle gym. The mother relays how much her son has improved. Judy guesses that the trainer is the reason. Betsy senses her insecurity, so she reassures Judy that Pumpkin's development is also due to her efforts. The following day, Carolyn picks up Pumpkin from his home, filling the young man with glee, but his happiness is shattered upon hearing she's setting him up with another girl. Carolyn picks up Kent, who's clueless about the double date. The men's mood turns sour with Carolyn caught up in her plans. They stop before a house and Carolyn enters. The glammed up Cece excitedly hugs and thanks her for setting up with someone. Carolyn comments that her date has a deep soul, so they will surely get along, and Cece becomes more hopeful. They head to the car and Carolyn introduces the woman to her new friend. Cece unknowingly greets Pumpkin and the man immediately turns his head away. As they drive to the beach, Kent watches his girlfriend in disbelief, understanding the awkward situation that's about to erupt. Ken asks Carolyn if Cece knows Pumpkin's condition, but the girlfriend nonchalantly answers that she has to remove prejudice. They arrive at the beach and Carolyn asks Cece to help her with the wheelchair and reality dawns on the woman. The group sits together and the atmosphere turns worse. After failing to get the response Carolyn expects, she forces Cece to get to know Pumpkin. The woman runs away sobbing and Kent follows after criticizing his girlfriend's behavior. Pumpkin still smiles at her and she instructs him to enjoy himself while chasing her companions. Kent mocks her intelligence and Carolyn argues she's smart and condemns Cece for treating Pumpkin poorly. Kent defends the sobbing lady and demands Carolyn to drive Cece home, so they leave Pumpkin behind. As soon as they drop off the disappointed woman, Carolyn tells Kent to go. She drives to her sorority house, seeing the Tri Omega celebrating as Laquata and Fidelia join their group. Julie confronts her for being absent on the commitment day, leading to their loss. Carolyn argues that it can't be blamed on her. She frantically leaves, saying she forgot about him. She rushes to Mr. Miri's office, where the professor heavily criticizes her unbelievable poem about the perfect world she's known. Carolyn crumples the paper, declaring that the world isn't that beautiful, and blames people for their terrible behavior. Mr. Miri praises her improvement, and that's the only time Carolyn remembers Pumpkin. She drives to the beach and arrives at sunset. The woman runs to him and kneels, asking for forgiveness and complaining about how she ruined everything. But Pumpkin genuinely tells her that he isn't angry. Touched by his pure soul, Carolyn confesses that feeling pain and having her world shatter for the first time makes her feel closer to him. She drops him off and volunteers to explain to his mom, but Pumpkin declines her offer and hands her a napkin with his drawing of her. The following day, Janine ignores and avoids her like a plague. Her sister also acts like she's invisible. Julie formally announces that Carolyn will be ignored until their next event for breaking the rules, since Judy filed a complaint. In poetry class, Mr. Miri announces how he'll grade the poems the students made, and Carolyn erupts, criticizing the professor for pretending to exercise liberty. However, he still conforms to what the society wants him to do. She declares that she's had enough of people batting her down whenever she does something from her heart, and she storms away. As she walks alone, she notices, for the first time, the imperfect side of the world. She goes to Mr. Cruz, a counselor, and finally confesses that she's falling in love with a mentally challenged person. Mr. Cruz tells her that her compassion is getting the better of her, blinding her to the fantasy she's in. He urges her to leave with the final advice that she has to stay grounded in reality by being closer to her normal boyfriend. Meanwhile, Judy freaks out when her son checks his late father's men's magazines. She scolds Pumpkin, but he stomps away to call Carolyn on the phone, fascinating Ramona but worrying the mother. Judy takes the phone and tells her son that the woman is bad for him since they live in different worlds. In the sorority house, Carolyn reignites the flames with Kent. When the guy becomes intimate, she breaks it off by talking about how the Greek system creates a divide among the people. Kent concludes it's about Pumpkin again, and their night is spoiled. Julie changes Pumpkin's mentor to Anne the following day and assigns Carolyn to Casey. The big tennis match arrives, and Kent wins effortlessly while his girlfriend watches in contemplation. The AO Pie sisters arrive and deliberately talk about how outstanding the athlete is, which can add to their sorority points if he attends their formal dance. However, they decide to pair him with Janine instead. Carolyn's roommate goes to her to mock her for being replaced and uninvited, but Carolyn is more concerned about how her friend has changed, so she walks away, affecting Kent, who loses the game. The frustrated athlete enters the locker room, where his girlfriend waits. Kent blames her for losing the game since she distracted him by walking out. Carolyn apologizes and states that she realizes their different paths. The boyfriend concludes this is related to Pumpkin again, so he insults him for being mentally challenged. The lady slaps him, and Kent teases her for being in love with Pumpkin. She denies it multiple times but confesses, leaving her boyfriend in disbelief as Carolyn breaks up with him. After hours of contemplating, the young woman sneaks into Pumpkin's room and asks him to hold her. The following day, Judy receives a call from Betsy announcing that Pumpkin will replace Hansy for the public service announcement. The mother rushes to her son's room but sees the couple on the bed. Judy kicks Carolyn out of the house while yelling profanities, swearing to call everyone since she forced herself upon her innocent son. Carolyn drives home, leaving everything behind, and Chippy frantically welcomes her, asking if Pumpkin forced her. But upon hearing it's consensual, the mother reassures her that it's only a horrible phase. Her doting father ignores her too. Afterward, she calls Pumpkin plenty of times, but Judy hangs up. Meanwhile, people mock Kent for losing his girl to someone mentally challenged. However, he uses this as motivation to get back on his feet, win games, and sleep with the Triomegas. Kent realizes the women see him based on his success, so he visits the AO Pie house to demand Carolyn. Julie points out how horrible the former sister is and persuades him to join the dance with any woman he wants, but Kent is determined to have Carolyn. Meanwhile, Carolyn drinks everything in her bathroom cupboard but throws up everything and cries somberly. The following day, Chippy calls her daughter because she has guests. Carolyn sees her sorority sisters, Kent, Mr. Halford, and her father, who tells her she'll face no repercussions. They convince her to return, wearing their perfect smiles. Kent and Julie even kneel in front of her, which makes Carolyn more anxious, and she straightforwardly asks them why they're all smiling in a dire situation. On the other hand, Pumpkin paints Carolyn and attempts to run away by stealing his mom's car keys. Unfortunately, he fails to drive out and wrecks the driveway. That evening, Judy calmly talks to her son, and Pumpkin insists he's not mentally challenged or special. Frustrated, Judy tells him she truly hopes he's normal and dates Carolyn, but their words differ. Meanwhile, the AO Pie formal dance has commenced, and Carolyn and Kent look as perfect as ever. Simultaneously, Pumpkin sneaks out of their house. At the ball, the perfect couple begins the first dance, and while everyone smiles, Carolyn remains poker-faced. Concurrently, Pumpkin and his friends ride a cab for the first time. While dancing, Carolyn confessed to Kent that things won't work between them anymore. Pumpkin arrives at the hall, and the woman lovingly stares at him as her lover proclaims he's here to dance with her. Kent insults the unwanted guest, challenging him to a man-to-man duel. Pumpkin agrees, despite Carolyn and Janine's protests. As everyone circles the two men, Kent punches Pumpkin several times, breaking Carolyn's heart. However, the challenged man musters his strength and carries his opponent before dropping him. Everyone is in shock, and Kent can't bear the embarrassment, so he runs away. Julie and the sisters demand them to leave, but Carolyn insists there's no reason to walk away. Julie says that they aren't appropriate for each other, but Carolyn stands firm on her feelings and drags Pumpkin to the dance hall. The lovers dance sweetly, and Janine soon joins them, prompting everyone to share the dance floor. On the other hand, Kent recklessly drives in anger, causing him to lose control of the car, and it falls on the bridge and explodes. Carolyn receives a call the following day and hurries to the hospital, seeing Kent paralyzed. The athlete blames everything on her, and the woman can only apologize while sobbing. Meanwhile, Tri Omegas wins the Sorority of the Year, devastating AO Pie. The following day, not a single sorority member appears for the training of the challenged games, disappointing Mr. Halford and the athletes. That evening, Carolyn bids goodbye to her sisters and apologizes for ruining everything. She informs them of her plan to transfer to Long Beach Tech, a school in a rural area. Everyone gasps in shock, and Julie invites her for her last meal with them. But Carolyn refuses as she sets herself straight. She drives out of the university and sees Kent being wheeled to his fraternity house while Mr. Meary stops her to convince her to stay since she's become his best student. Carolyn declines the praise and continues driving. Simultaneously, Pumpkin arrives at her sorority house, but he receives the bad news from Janine, who hugs him to console him. Soon, Carolyn arrives at a dorm and is greeted by Sasha and the others. Soon, she becomes an outcast again for being different. On the other hand, Pumpkin sees the news about Kent and visits the hopeless athlete. Afterward, the challenged games begin, and Kent goes with them as their coach while the AOPI sisters come to watch. At Long Beach, Sasha initiates talking with Carolyn and urges her to read her poem to them. Once she does, Carolyn comments that her work about conforming to the world isn't good. Sasha tells her that the problem may be her desire not to comply. Meanwhile, Hansi's team is beating Pumpkin's team relentlessly. The challenged man lies on the ground with no determination to fight. Kent encourages him to continue fighting for himself and Carolyn. The relay begins, and the members of Pumpkin's team do their best to catch up with their opponents, but the gap remains vast, and Hansi is already celebrating. Just in time, Carolyn arrives, and Pumpkin notices her. He sprints with all his might and overtakes Hansi at the last moment. Judy rushes to her son, and Pumpkin proudly proclaims his win. Kent praises him, and Carolyn approaches them. She commends Kent for his beautiful soul, and the ex-boyfriend declares that Pumpkin is a better man. Judy hesitantly smiles at her while her sisters watch happily. She kisses Pumpkin, and they walk away hand in hand. Carolyn glances behind, but she turns ahead with her lover.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.